Hey everybody, Steve DeLavier. I got a pre-crystal ball. We have the water and the one bar. That's the Power Up Breakfast. Seated, sold out 484 folks. So excited to be here. Stay tuned. It's going to be the best day of content in America.
I believe the purpose of life isn't to be happy. I think the purpose of life is to be of utility. So when the flood comes, I want to be the one who built the ark. I want to be the one who built something. That person over here is like, well, the flood is coming in some sort. And the guy was like, what did you do? He's like, I was just being happy. I really didn't do anything. Well, you're absolutely useless in a world like today. We need to suffer in the purpose, in the pursuit of good things, and reframe suffering a little bit. So you realize, and I use that word to be a little dramatic, but this next couple of years is going to be fun. It might not be happy, but if you don't run from the struggle, you dig in a little bit more, you mark it harder, you push harder, you watch what happens at the end of this. That is my hope for you. I hope you've gotten a few tools out of this today. Thank you so much for having me.
Here is the challenge. People don't understand real estate because they always give any kind of news network. What do they always talk about? Do they give a local view or a national view? National, which, by the way, doesn't, especially for those of us in Las Vegas, Nevada, this is not 2008. This is not. So part of my messaging is I want us to be louder in telling our story of what we know the data is today. 30% are going to churn out of the business. 60% are going to do less than they did over the last 1 to 2 years, and 10% are going to massively grow. This is why I love what Craig does. Because if you're willing to build brand, be patient, and then go be who you are, okay? Life is a balancing act. Some weeks, work wins. What has to happen the next week or two? Home's got to win a little bit. And you have to do that. And by the way, you know how you do that? You set the right expectation with yourself and your significant other. Say, hey, it's going to be a really tough next 2 weeks. I got to do these things. But when that's done, X. So when you feel yourself getting unbalanced, good. Just balance it back. We're not animals or robots. We can make choices to go, I'm going to bring this back to being a balancing act.
I always say you need two people to believe in yourself. You need yourself and then somebody who believes in you when you don't believe in yourself. There's been a lot of people in my life that have been those people. So like we've talked about this, when I started my real estate career, honestly at that time it was my husband, because I was like, oh my God, what are you doing getting me into like this situation? He's like, you'll be perfect, babe. Like he believed in me at that time. When it came to starting a team, there was a gentleman at Keller Williams that 100% was like, oh Spring, you've got this. You know, you can totally do that, and mentored me and took me under my wing. So I think it just is like, you just need to make sure you're believing in yourself, and then there's someone else, and usually finding that person who just sees something in you, right? And there's just different people. I mean, prime example, there's been plenty of times I'm like, Steve, I don't want to do that. You really want me to get up and speak in front of those people? He's like, yes, you've got it, right? So you just have to rely on somebody else's faith in you when you're not believing in yourself.
I think as women in business in particular, it's up to us to lift the other women up as they're coming along in this journey. And having been in business early on in the 90s, before internet, yes, there was no Google, guys. That wasn't necessarily the case. And so for me, I'm just passionate about helping women find their confidence. And we find confidence, at least for me, by messing up and being okay with that. Failing forward. Like, I don't have all the answers, but I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna try, and guess what? I grow when I mess up. So, and that growth is where the confidence comes.
People want to join a leader. People don't join companies or teams. And the flip side to that is also true. I don't think that people leave companies or teams. I think every time someone leaves, and why I started with the joke of maybe we're down one today, is that somebody deselecting and saying, I no longer see you as the bridge from where I am to where I want to be. And so I think if you're going to recruit and you're going to grow with people, you got to be willing to be that bridge. And then you also have to look at the mirror and say, I can't be the bridge for everybody. But I think we all have our comeuppance with that. And we go, all right, probably not everyone. I can help this one, and this one. I might help that one. I'm gonna go help these 3. But people wanna join people that are on their way to something. And when I look at most teams and most team leaders and most team owners, most of them aren't doing anything extravagantly cool. And I don't mean living big, I just mean simply, are you doing something that's worthwhile? That someone goes, man, if I work hard and if I do something right, I'm gonna end up like her. Be willing to be a beacon that someone else can say, I wanna be like that, I wanna live that way.
Every time an agent's going to join my company or wants to learn about what we do, I simply ask him this: how would you like to pay? The first way that you can pay is you can do it. So you can spend the money, you can figure it out, you can put in the time, the money, the energy, the stress, the sweat equity to figure this out, and that's great. And the benefit of that is that no one can ever take that away from you. No one can ever take that knowledge away from you. It's yours forever. But is that a faster or slower way to grow? Slower, right? It's gonna move slower. So there's a cost to that. It's going to cost your time. And typically, as an agent, if you're spending time on figuring out systems or figuring out how to aggregate more leads or whatever that looks like for you, you're taking time away from the most important thing, which is your regular lead gen, touching your database and giving a client experience. So there's a cost. The second way that you can pay is you can hire somebody else to do it, somebody who has more money or more experience or knows what they're doing, and therefore you can move faster, right? The upside to that is you get to move much quicker through whatever it is that you're trying to solve or wherever it is that you're trying to go. And the downside to that is that you got to give a little money up, right? Which means that you have to be more conservative with your expenses elsewhere. And then always you have the third option, which is you do nothing at all and stay where you are.
252 agents in 38 states. You had to do $100 million to be in the program. We met 3 times a year. Now, Nick did not do $100 million.
Not even close.
Not even close. So Nick finds my number, calls me. I'm driving on my way to the airport. He says, hi, I'm Nick Walder. I'm like, I don't know who Nick Walder is. So I said, okay, Nick. He's like, listen, I want to be in your mastermind. I said, well, we have a standard. What do you produce? He goes, 40. And I go, 40. Then he goes, no, 40 deals. And I said, well, Nick, I'm sorry. $100 million is a standard, and you sound like you're about 300 or 400 deals off. So no, thank you, can't do it. He's like, no, listen to me, boss. I'm telling you, I go, Nick, I appreciate your call, love your passion, good luck, get $100 million, and I'd love to talk to you. Hung the phone up, that was it. 2 weeks later, I get a nice note in the mail and a book. 3 weeks later, Cody Gibson calls me, hey man, there's this kid, Nick Walder, I think we should know him. I go, I talked to Nick, but he only does 40 deals. Yeah, but he'd be great in the program. 2 days later, Brett Tanner calls, hey Steve, Nick Walder, there's this kid. He's got like 9 people calling me in the mastermind, they must have bribed. Finally, I call him back, I go, Nick, I don't give a shit if the president calls me. You can't get in because you don't do 100 million. And he got me on this. He goes, Steve, the only difference between who we are now and 5 years from now are the books we read and the people we meet. Give me a shot, and I swear to you, I'll be a $100 million producer in 2 years. And so I did it. I put him in the program. I told him, you're deaf mute, don't talk, don't just sit there and listen, don't. And Nick absorbed everything. And now, 2 years later, you were a
210,550 units.
He was someone who got to places before maybe he had production deserved it, but his mind, his tenacity, his willingness to learn, his work velocity, those are things you can't teach your coach. And he had that from the get-go. So thank you, brother.